Butcher, baker, or undertaker. This week's episode, we sit down with Keith Grant from Keith Grant Master Butchers, the most famous butcher on TikTok. We discuss Keith's journey from his first job all the way through to opening up his own business. Keith also gives us an insight into what he's looking for in his next apprentice. So if you're interested in becoming a butcher, this episode is for you. Let's get into it. This episode is brought to you by Top Drawer Talent, the supply chain procurement recruitment specialist. Please note, this episode contains discussions around animal slaughter and the realities of meat production. Here we go. Keith, thanks for coming in today. So obviously, look, you're a butcher turned entrepreneur and you're a TikTok star. But going back to the very start, like, what was school like for you growing up? Like, did you do well or?
No, I hated school.
Okay.
I always hated school. I remember in primary school, I used to wake up and I just wanted to go anywhere else other than that.
Right.
And then secondary school actually wasn't as bad because obviously you're not just stuck in one classroom all day.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of variety, but I definitely didn't take it seriously.
There was a few. Were you academic at all? No.
No, I was, what's the way to put it? I wouldn't say naturally gifted, but like I could pick up languages fairly good.
Okay.
And I was always good at English, that type of subject, English, history, things that I had any kind of interest in.
Right.
Maths, funnily enough, I literally got a no grade in my Leaving Cert maths. I sat down, I looked it over, and I honestly couldn't even attempt a single question on it and just waited I think it's 20 minutes you have to wait, and I walked straight out.
Really, yeah?
Yeah, oh, I'm brutal. Okay. It's the best way I can describe it with numbers is it's the same way someone with dyslexia talks about words. That's the way I see maths.
Okay.
Numbers, yeah.
Jeez. Okay, well, that is actually a thing. I don't forget the name, but it is a thing.
Yeah, so people have told me that all right. So maybe like if I was going to school nowadays, there would be some kind of support for it, but it never came to me. Okay. It's funny that I have a business now and I deal with numbers.
That's what you pay your accountant for.
Yeah, exactly.
But in terms of like your first job then, like did you work while you were in school then or?
Yeah.
And was it butchery or was it something else?
No, I always had an interest in doing the butchery, but I never actually got around to doing it when I was still in school.
Okay.
Because we traditionally, like we would have always kept sheep. That would have been kind of thing. The father was a builder, but we always kept sheep as well. Okay. So I had an interest in that. But my brother, growing up, had a fruit and veg shop, and it also had a fuel business attached, so solid fuel and gas.
Okay.
So I ended up working in that and hated it. Yeah, like with the fruit and veg, I always noticed like I was good at displaying things.
Right.
So that stood to me with the meat. I always kind of had a natural ability with that. And I think the good thing it taught me though was just customer service and talking to people and just being taught from an early age that, because I'm really, really shy, believe it or not. You wouldn't think it from the videos, but I'm painfully shy. So it kind of taught me how to talk to people.
That customer service element.
Yeah.
And then was like a trade then always on the card for you because college probably wasn't even a thought for you, was it?
Yeah. College was never going to be a goer for me because even if I found something I wanted, I don't think I just not one of those people who can sit down and study, and the maths thing definitely would have held me back.
Okay, yeah.
If I was doing nowadays, who knows, like I might have done something more around marketing or branding because I really enjoy that side of the business, but that wasn't really a thing back then. Like there's no social media to speak of when I was leaving school. So when I left school, I had an idea I'd try either being a butcher, a baker, or an undertaker. And I just happened to try butchery first, and I just loved it from day one.
How did you get the first job then as a butcher? Like what? Like was it in a butcher's or was it in an abattoir? Or?
It was in a butcher's. It was actually a butcher's, still on the go now. They have their own abattoir just for their own little shop.
Okay.
So I was very lucky in that respect to learn all the aspects. But one of the guys was run by two brothers, Anthony and Porrig.
Right.
And Porrig was in the middle of buying a house.
Right.
And the couple he was buying the house from, my family knew them and happened to say to my sister that they are looking for extra staff. They actually weren't, but I went and I introduced myself and asked for a job, and I didn't hear anything back. So a week later, I decided to call back to them, and they've told me that they both literally turned to another, and Porg's like, "Oh, this guy's coming back. What do you want to do?" and they're like, I don't know. Sure, we'll give him a couple of days a week. And I was meant to start just a couple of days a week, kind of like relief work.
Yeah.
And within a couple of weeks, I was there full time. And
Right. They
And
just
that-
seen you had did you have like an interest straight away? And
oh yeah, like
yeah.
I went growing up, I was mad into like all those river cottage programs, and obviously I'm in the countryside.
Yeah.
Used to us having sheep and that, so I used to like rear chickens and turkeys and things like that. I had pigs. Always had an interest in it, and like I think my job was I was meant to work from like 9 to 6, but I'd normally arrive around about 8, and I'd always stay back. It got to the stage where the boss Porg was living in Wicklow. He just dropped me home when he was leaving. So
It's a good way to get a lift home.
yeah, exactly. So I was never a clock watcher. I enjoyed it, and I just really wanted to learn everything I could.
Yeah. And was it quite soon after you left school that you got that kind of first job?
Yeah, it was. I think it was within like a month of me leaving school.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did they then put you through like the apprenticeship straight away kind of thing?
Yeah, they signed me up for it was craft butcher apprenticeship then. Unfortunately, the way it was working at the time was they were literally in the middle of creating the course.
Okay.
So even though I signed up for it, like I think I got to fourth or fifth module of it. I think it was 12 modules back then.
Yeah.
It was a different course than it is now, the one I was doing, and you were literally waiting for them to create the next module. So I never actually got to finish it.
Oh, okay.
Funnily enough, yeah.
Jeez. So on day one, like, what did they actually have you doing then when you went into the butchers? Like, what would you been doing? Like, were you like sweeping the floors, or did you get to cut meat straight away, or?
Yeah, in fairness, they threw me in at the deep end. Really, like they would have you doing everything. Start you off with real simple jobs that anybody can do, like pressing burgers, that type of thing.
Okay.
But like they definitely did. They threw me straight in at like I always remember the very first thing I did in the butcher shop was boning out a shin of beef, and so Porrig kind of threw that at me, and I did it, and he was pleasantly surprised. I actually did a good job at it, and then that's kind of how I learned. Just we were lucky that we did a lot of customer animals because they had the abattoir.
Yeah.
So people would bring their lamb, say, to get chopped up for the freezer.
Okay.
And so we were going through a lot of them, so I had a lot of chance to learn,
Right.
like a lot of repetition.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they would have brought the animal in. Obviously, would have been slaughtered there and then,
Yeah.
and then kind of brought into the shop then to be packaged and.
Exactly that, yeah.
Okay. And what about like the knife skills and stuff like that? Did it take you long to pick up the knife skills, or like were you like killing the chickens back home and eating the chickens back home? Like,
Yeah, like the chickens are dead easy, anything like that.
Yeah.
When it came to the knife skills, I would say it's more the knowledge that it's really down to two things: having a sharp knife,
Yeah.
essentially having a sharp knife, but then just knowing where to cut, and then it just becomes second nature to you. You'll literally do it without thinking. So it does take a bit of time. Like there's fiddly things, really around fiddly bones,
Yeah.
especially things like lamb and that. But it's just that not practice makes perfect, but practice makes permanent. So you make sure that to do it the right way, and then let the speed come. So they're very good in that respect now, I have to say.
Showing you. And is there many like different knives to learn, or is there like 5 set knives that you just kind of use on a daily basis?
Generally, you'd have three. So you'd have your big 10 or 12-inch steak knife for cutting steaks or roasts, that type of thing.
Okay.
Then you'd have a smaller one, normally about 6-inch blade. And you'll have two varieties of them. One that's just kind of straight and rigid. So that's like your Dyson beef for that. And then you'll have kind of a curved blade. And generally, butchers will have them with a little bit of flex in them. And that's for moving around fiddly bones. The blade of the knife will actually move to the contours of the bone.
Okay.
And you can do, like if you had to, you can do about 90% of butchering down a whole beef animal with just that flexible knife.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is there like, right, so obviously like animal, they're different shapes or whatever, but like once you kind of break the animal down, like is there much difference in the different types of animals and actually like kind of cutting them up into different kind of cuts of meat, or is it?
No, your what they call the quadrupeds, so your four-legged animals. So
Yeah.
your whether they're pigs, whether they're deer, lamb, beef, they're basically all the exact same, just in different proportions.
Okay.
Like literally all the muscle groups are the exact same. The only difference is size. And then so it's just down to With beef, obviously, you have to break things down a bit smaller because it is so large. But like once you learn how to break down a lamb, I would say you're halfway there to learning how to break down a beast.
Jeez. And like not the different weights, right? Because it's meat is all in weight. What am I
Yeah.
right in saying that? Like, are you like just eyeballing it, or do you have to kind of weigh it at the start to kind of get used to cutting it up to a certain size, or?
You will just get you'll just get used to it after a while. It's just that repetition. Like someone comes in looking for a pound of mince, like 90% of the time when you go and grab it out of the counter, you'll have it within an ounce or two of a pound because it's just you've done it thousands of times.
Yeah.
Same with cutting steaks. There's also little tricks. Like generally speaking, if you're cutting say a ribeye steak or that,
Yeah.
8 ounces is normally the width of your finger.
Okay.
So there's little kind of tricks like that you can do.
Just
But
gonna stick the finger down.
yeah,
hopefully
but
chop it
generally
off.
it's just it's repetition. Like it's you just know by eyeballing it.
Okay. And what's like the most difficult animal to kind of work with?
Most difficult, the smaller an animal is, the more difficult it is because you're closer to the bones. It's more fiddly. So, for instance, boning and rolling a turkey at Christmas is dead easy. The bigger it is,
Right.
the smaller it is, the more difficult it is. And then if you were to try and bone out something small like a poussin or, God forbid, a quail, people wouldn't do it. But if you did, because it's so small, the margin of error is so small between going through the skin versus the meat. And with animals, pig is kind of like the perfect size
Okay.
that you can haul it around easy enough, but at the same time, it's big enough to make all the cuts on.
Yeah.
Whereas, but yeah, generally speaking, there's none that are crazy difficult.
Okay. Did it take you long to learn all the different animals, or was it like in a matter of months you're fairly decent enough?
It takes you a while. I'd say after the first year, I was fairly competent.
Yeah.
But like the apprenticeship program, when I was doing it was 3 years. Now it's the formal apprenticeship is 2 years, and in fairness, they have it very well laid out.
Okay.
But after 2 years, like you're very very basic. Like
Yeah.
you really want to be getting about 5 years plus before you're really into kind of the flow of everything.
Okay. And do you find like is it good to get that experience in the abattoir before you kind of move into the shop, or does it matter?
I think it's good to have both. So the way like we used to work was we would do the slaughtering on a Monday.
Okay.
Animals would arrive in the morning. We'd pop them in what they call the layerage pen, and then we'd serve throughout the day, and then clean down. Then the evening do the killing, and that was kind of it then for the week in terms of killing.
Yeah.
But it's honestly I think it's invaluable to learn that. Like it's just another feather in your bow.
Okay.
Or string in your bow, feather in your cap, and it's just you learn more about kind of how it even impacts the meat. Because the funny thing, like if an animal is stressed out before you kill it, it can totally ruin the meat because their system is just pumping full of adrenaline
Okay.
before they're killed, and you can literally see it in meat. Like the meat will just go like a dark purple, and it's basically worthless. And that's if an animal has been stressed prior to being killed.
And how do you make sure like that the animal isn't stressed before it's killed? Like is there like
Yeah, well, in ours now we were lucky; it was a very small scale abattoir, so it was a lot easier. But even there's rules that might sound silly, but like for instance, one animal couldn't see the other animal being killed.
okay.
They had to have no idea what was coming.
Right.
So simple things like that, and you're just gentle with them. Like there's some misconceptions of how animals are treated. Like for instance, if you think of sheep, like if I went to grab a sheep by the fleece, like my boss would have hit me over the head because that'll actually bruise the animal, and then that transfers onto the meat, and so that's useless. So there is benefit in being gentle and respecting the animals. Like my father always used to have a thing. He said, just because we're going to kill them doesn't give us the right to treat them bad. Like you treat them good while you're there, and then that does actually transfer into flavor.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I had a friend right that I used to work with. Obviously we worked with him, but he had cows back at home on the land, and we used to say like, "You're going home to feed them now this evening. Do you not get attached to them? Would you not feel guilty sending them off to be killed?" Like, and he'd be like, "No, that's just life." But would you have ever felt like that, like, or felt guilty about it?
When I was younger, yeah, definitely, because like you'd always have pet lambs. So pet lambs are basically where the mother just hasn't taken with the lamb,
Okay.
and so you have to bottle feed it. So it definitely, when I was a young child, there was times, a couple of times I can remember where like I got upset where we were basically sending it off to slaughter.
Yeah.
But then after a while, you just learn it's circle of life.
Yeah. Does many people like leave the job because they just can't handle that side of it? Like,
No, generally,
kinda-
I can't say I've ever came across it, to be honest. Like the things that most people don't like about the job would tend to be just the being on your feet
constantly.
a lot of the time. And funnily enough, if you ask anybody who's ever a butcher, a retail butcher, the vast majority just they don't like dealing with the public.
Yeah.
That would generally be what a lot of people would say is what turned them off it.
Yeah, because there's nowhere to really, like, in different kind of environments and different jobs, like, you can kind of hide. Like, if you're on a building site, you can kind of go missing for half the morning or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you're in a shop, like, you can't do that. Like, how did you find that kind of side of things? Or
Yeah.
did it bother you?
There is days, look, where it is like that you're in a bad humor or you're not feeling 100%, you're tired.
Yeah.
But you just have to remember, like, they're paying the wages. And my mother always used to have a saying. I said that as if she's dead. She's alive. My mother has a saying that when people are being moany or that, she says, "I've enough problems of my own without importing yours." And you just got to remember that you might be having a bad day, they might be having a horrible day. They don't care. They want to just have a smiling face. And we're lucky, especially out where we are in Roundwood, that like 95% of the customers we know on a first name basis, and it's returning customers. But some guys just aren't built for that customer facing thing. That if someone, like, people will ask you silly questions now and again.
Right.
It's the same as anything in life. Like, I might ask a stupid question of someone who's in tech support or some industry I don't know.
Yeah.
But when you know it so intimately, it seems like the most stupid question ever. And some guys just, like, I have a friend, Michael. Michael knows who he is. And Michael just doesn't have that switch he can flip off and just be like, this is a stupid question, but I'm going to be polite and not react. Yeah. Michael has to let them know it's a stupid question. So he's actually a delivery driver now. And that suits him better.
Yeah, because it's just the customer facing thing just wasn't for him.
Yeah, as I say, it can be tough. There's times where on a busy day where like you're sick of smiling.
Yeah,
it can get like that.
And people go into a butcher's as well for the customer service and the customer experience, right? Because, you know, the butcher is a friendly person and you want to have the chats, like, because I'd say like the sale probably takes like 5 minutes, which could be there for maybe 20 minutes chatting to somebody.
Yeah, and a thing like you'll notice sometimes you'll get people who are just lonely. Like, we will notice that. We noticed that a lot during COVID, actually. Kind of we were doing deliveries we did a lot of deliveries to people's houses during COVID.
Right.
And especially older people, and they've nobody else. Yeah. And so you could end up doing a delivery and you're there for 15 or 20 minutes just talking to them, because you might be the only bit of contact they get because everything is locked down. So you will still get that, people coming into the shop, and it doesn't matter how busy we are, or there's times where we're being so busy and someone will come in, but you know that like you're there, a bit of social interaction, so you don't rush to get them out the door. Like, that's part of what we're there for, funnily enough.
You probably stand having the chats while you're kind of serving other customers or whatever.
Yeah, exactly that.
Okay.
It's just part of the job.
Yeah. And at what stage then, right, did you decide then, right, to go from, like, you know, butcher to entrepreneur and set up your own shop? Like, what was the reason behind setting up your own shop?
Funnily enough, it was just always in me that I wanted to be self-employed.
Okay.
Literally from when I was a child.
Yeah.
I don't know where it came from, because like neither of my parents were like that.
Okay.
My mother was a housewife, and my father, he was kind of a jack of all trades, but he generally worked on the buildings, plastering or building, and there was never any of that kind of in my family.
Yeah.
But ever since I could remember, like, I'd go and pick the blackberries in the ditches on the side of the road and make jam and try and sell it, or even when I was funnily enough, when I was in school, I think it was in 4th or 5th year, and I sold my business studies teacher a turkey for Christmas. So it's just, I don't know, it's just ever since day one, when it went in, it was like, I'm going to have my own place.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And how long were you in before you decided to have your own place?
I would have been doing it. So I was about 12 years in, I think, before I got the opportunity.
Yeah.
It just so happened I was managing a place in Blackrock, and the owners had taken over a load of butcher shops, and they were keeping some and getting rid of the others. And I had a pretty good relationship with them. And he came to me and he was like, "Look, we were wondering, would you be interested in buying the shop? This is like how much it costs to run the place, the whole lot." And yeah, that just kind of,
The opportunity just presented
yeah, the
itself.
opportunity presented itself. I went to AIB. I was fully expecting that they say no.
Alright.
Like I went through the whole process, but in my mind, I was told I could buy the shop, or if I didn't buy the shop, I'd basically be moving back to their shop in the square in Tala to manage it. They were kind of like the two options. And in my head, I was 100% sure I'd just be back in the shop in Tala, but I'd have the story to tell that I tried to buy the shop, but I couldn't get the money off the bank. And I have to say, fair play to AIB. They've always backed me.
Okay, that's good. So,
I've had to get loans for equipment before as well, and they've always been very, very easygoing and very common sense, I have to say.
yeah, they are. My bank is alright. They're actually
Yeah.
a decent bank, right? No complaints. Like it's very straightforward. Whereas other banks I've kind of dealt with, it's fucking paperwork to be the band.
Yeah.
But did you have to kind of put in the business plan, and or did you just go meet the bank manager and they kind of had a chat with you? And
Yeah, so I talked with the lady, I can't remember if she was the business manager or whatever it
Yeah.
was at the time. And she put me in touch with an accountant, said do up like a business plan with the accountant. Did that and went from there, did all their projections, and like, look, projections are,
yeah,
I see the benefit in a business plan, but at the same time,
you can never tell.
yeah, like you're picking numbers, they're asking you what's going to happen 3 years down the line. You haven't a clue.
Oh,
Like, yeah, like we didn't know Russia was going to invade Ukraine and send the price of everything mental, that type of thing. Like, there's just,
so many variables.
yeah, so many variables that you could never know. But did that, and they luckily enough approved it, and I got the money to buy the shop, and that was the start of it all.
Right. And how long is it open now?
So, been in business I think it's 8 years, 8 or 9 years. 2017 it was. So it's that 8 years and 7 years at current location, which is much better for me. It's closer to home and everything.
Yeah.
It's 15 minutes away from my house in Wicklow.
Happy days.
So like I've no traffic lights, no traffic, no nothing. It's absolute joy.
15 minutes each.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Perfect. And so, how long was it then before were you just in the shop then on your own, kind of running everything on your own for a while, or did you bring staff in or family members kind of help you out?
A mixture of both. So I had one staff member in the shop in Blackrock, and then family members, and like my wife Ashling has just been invaluable. She's supported my dream more than anybody, and she's put in as much work. Like when we made it for the first year was sole trader, and then I changed it into limited company, and there was never a moment's doubt in my mind when I went to do it. It was like she gets 50%.
Okay, yeah.
Like it wouldn't be here without her.
Yeah.
There's been times where really tough times at the start where I was just an emotional wreck and having a breakdown, and without her support, it wouldn't be here. Just wouldn't.
Yeah. Entrepreneurship is just an absolute roller coaster.
Yeah, I was always one of those people that realized it was tough. I was never one of those that like, oh, the boss gets all the money and we do all the work. Like I always knew there was a lot more to it than that.
Yeah.
But I never in a million years realized how tough it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if you want to touch on the business side of it, but like, is it like, you're putting out a lot of money to bring in the goods, and then you're not recovering that cash quick enough sometimes to kind of.
Yeah, that was at the beginning certainly, and the thing as well at the beginning is the most credit anybody would give you at the beginning would be like a week,
Okay.
but a lot of them want to be paid
Straight away. Yeah.
straight away, which is fair enough.
Yeah.
But like for instance, if I normally get a beef delivery every 2 weeks,
Okay.
and the most credit I get for that is a week.
Okay.
but that invoice could be for like 6,000-7,000 euro just in, and so cash flow can be a thing. You just have to gently build up your reserves, and then luckily you get to this stage where you do have
Capital.
a bit of working capital as such. Now, the very start of the whole cost of living crisis just near wiped us out of working capital because things got crazy. Like before we did anything, it was €100 just for electricity a day at the peak of it.
Yeah.
That's before you pay staff or do anything. But that's where having that bit of a war chest is invaluable.
Yeah. And is your wife a butcher then as well? Is she working in the shop, or is she kind of more on the back end sort of things?
No, she's a nurse, believe it or not.
Okay. Jeez.
Yeah.
Okay.
Only difference is my patients don't sue. But I've always said the shop would be even more successful and better run if she was in the business, because she's I'm very precise on like displaying the meat and how things are done, and Aisling is very good at like the things that I might miss. She's a real eye for detail of what the customer sees, not just in the counter but like the experience when they walk into the shop.
Getcha.
She's very, very focused on that. But no, we'd probably be divorced if we worked together, to be honest. Cause
That's fair enough
yeah,
as
we
well.
like John and Mary out of Father Ted. Like she would trying to drown me in the sink. Yeah.
Because I was gonna ask, like, how does she feel about like the animals and kind of the blood and everything? Because I imagine like it can be gruesome in part, right? And not a lot of people. I thought like that would be the big turn off for people, like the blood and everything else, but it's more so the customer service you're saying.
Yeah. No, she's okay once things are kind of, because animals are coming in already killed. She's fairly all right with it. And again, she's a country girl as well. She's from the countryside in Limerick. But like, for instance, I'd be in the local gun club, like shooting pheasants and things like that.
Okay.
And she's like, you can go and do it. I just don't need to see photos. If I showed her a photo of a fox, I would be divorced.
Okay.
She's that's fantastic Mr. Fox on his way to work thing. So yeah.
Okay. And so you've out shooting as well in the fields.
Yeah, that's what
That's
it's
when your
kind of been
hobbies-
when I have a chance to get out. It's more, to be honest, just about getting out.
Yeah.
I love just getting out with the dogs and just kind of clearing your head, because it can be
the de-stress.
because it can be a very lonely thing being self-employed. If it's literally just yourself, you're not in it with someone else, because everything falls back on you.
Yeah.
And there's no, like, if you make a decision, it's like, if this goes wrong, it's all 100% on me. So to be able to get out, so I like to do that. If I get a chance to do a bit of fishing, that type, just kind of out away from people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
I was always like that. As I say, it's the thing people can never reconcile with me, is that I'm so, like, I'm painfully introverted and shy. And like people will meet me at weddings and things like that, and they were like, "You're not what I thought you were at all." I was like, yeah,
It's because the TikTok thing, like, and then you kind of meet you in person.
yeah. Like TikTok is, in a way, TikTok is exactly what I am.
Yeah.
But it's exactly what I am with someone who I'm really comfortable with, like someone I work with.
Yeah.
Or with Aisling, because that's the way I've always treated the videos. Like people will tell me, "Oh, don't swear," or "Don't do this," or "Be more that."
We just thought your authentic self, really.
Yeah, but I've always just said, look, I'll just treat it the same way as I talk to the lads when I'm working with them.
Yeah.
And so in a way, it's very authentic, and that's exactly who I am. But when people come up to me and they've never met me before, then they see the other side of me, which is before I get to know someone.
Yeah.
And I'm painfully shy.
Doing okay.
Yeah.
But Grant, and now staff, right? So you're on the lookout for someone else at the moment, are you?
Yeah, we're looking to hire another apprentice butcher.
Okay.
Just someone hopefully will kind of grow with the business. Things just taken off. And it was kind of, I've been mulling it over for the last year.
Right.
But at the same time, it's scary to kind of make that commitment.
Yeah.
That you have to pay someone's wages on top of everybody else is getting paid. But it kind of got to the stage where, like, there's customers coming into the shop and we literally couldn't keep up with keeping the stuff on the shelves or the online orders. And I just had a little kind of a click in my head. It was like, how are you gonna? Because I've always said I want to open more than one shop.
Yeah.
I was like, how are you gonna take the risk of opening more than one shop if you won't take the risk of hiring
You don't have much
someone
time.
else, like a simple risk like that? And yeah, I was getting burnt out, to be honest.
Yeah.
I found in the last year, like, any, like, someone could be talking about a cold on the radio and I'd catch it because I was just run down. Like, I'm
Yeah.
in the shop 6 days a week. My average week is anywhere 65, 70 hours a week.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Like, how many hours are you working a week,
Yeah,
or what
like
days are you doing?
it just got to the point where it's unsustainable, and I was kind of being there, but the quality of work was the same as if I was there 40 hours.
Yeah.
Because I was banjacked, so like my feet might be killing me, or I might have caught a cold. So yeah,
I think it's a big thing. Like, even in my business, like it's my baby, right? So like,
Yeah.
no one's gonna do it as good as I'm gonna do it, and it's like the thought of giving it to someone else and then they mess it up and then your name is kind of ruined.
Oh, 100%.
There's that kind of fear. But if someone does go work for you, like, how many days a week are they gonna work for you? And are they gonna work weekends? Is it Monday to Friday or Tuesday to Saturday kind of thing?
So it's a bit of a mixture. So 5 days is normally the standard,
Okay.
and then we kind of work around it. Like, at the moment, we have one fella who works. He's semi-retired. He works Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, and then we would have someone coming in on a Saturday. Normally, just a Saturday lad. At the moment, it's my nephew Jack, but he's going to be doing his leaving cert now, so he's going to be leaving.
Okay.
And then we have Alex. He's the one doing the apprenticeship. He's working Monday to Friday at the moment, but it'll change a little bit.
Right.
So then we take someone else on. We'll just kind of split it the 5 days across the week. Like, one of them might work Saturday, and then the other one will work the following Saturday or something like
So
that.
every kind of second Saturday.
Yeah, you might kind of work around it.
Is it like a 6 a.m. start, 8 a.m. start, or and when are they finishing? Like, what time?
Yeah, so it's different for. So Martin would normally come in. He'd do 8 till about 5:30.
Yeah.
And then Alex would normally come in 9 till 7. Like, if we're closing, like, one of us will stay till 7.
Right.
But obviously the other thing that having an extra member of staff would give us a bit more flexibility to change that, so there's not quite as long a day on one person.
Yeah.
If they're closing, make it that, like, if they're closing at 7, they could come in at 10, something like that, and then have the other person come in 8 to 6 or.
Okay.
But generally, I try and get in for 7. If I can get in for 7, it's kind of a good head start on the day. I find, like, an hour in the morning is worth 2 or 3 in the afternoon, because afternoon is where the majority of our trade is, and then you have to be customer facing.
Catch yourself. And then, like, the person that you're looking for, right? So what are you looking for in an individual, like, that comes in or that wants to become a butcher and work for you? What are you actually looking for?
So I generally keep it very basic. The very first thing is just good timekeeping,
Yeah.
because that's just kind of a red flag if they don't have that. The other thing is just a willingness to learn, ask questions. Some people get annoyed if you're asking loads of questions, but the only way you're going to learn is ask questions. So that's why we say, like, you don't need to have any experience. Like, we'll teach you, but just that willingness to learn, and then just to be neat and tidy, and just take direction.
Is there an academic qualification that they need, or a certain amount of, like, points in a leaving cert or junior cert that you're looking for, or a certain subject?
There is a.
Or do you need it for the apprenticeship, actually?
For us there isn't, but for the apprenticeship program there is. You have to. Now, it's nothing stringent. I think you either have to have passed ordinary level maths in the leaving cert, I think it is.
Okay.
English and maths could be. But if you're there more than, I think it's a year working in the shop, then you automatically qualify.
Okay.
Yeah. So, like, Alex was there for more than a year, so we didn't have to go trying to get his leaving cert results for them.
Okay.
But, like, your academic side wouldn't hold you back joining the apprenticeship at all.
Okay, so if you're, like, low on points or not great academically, you could just hold off for 12 months before you went to the college, or to start the official apprenticeship.
Yeah,
let's say.
because most lads, you're going to be there maybe 6 months or so to be sure that you're going to stick around before they sign you up for the apprenticeship. So
you have to pass probation.
so you'll be there anyway. So
6 months.
yeah, like, as I say, like, I didn't pass ordinary maths.
Yeah.
And I own the place. So it'd be kind of hypocritical for me to say, oh, you can't do it, you didn't pass ordinary maths.
Yeah, it's funny, right? Because like, if you come work for me, right, I kind of need you to have, like, really good English, right? Because, like, you're writing CVs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I've no leaving cert. Now I went back to college and done, like, degrees and stuff. But now I'm, like, feel like a hypocrite when I'm asking someone, "Oh, what's your level of English like?"
Yeah.
And, like, did you pass leaving cert English, or do you have a degree? Like, give me something.
Yeah.
But literally is actually a massive problem in Ireland. I don't think we actually realize how bad it is.
Yeah.
But once they're in the shop, right, and they've kind of went through it, what's your interview process like? Is it one round of interviews? You're going to meet like a bunch of people first, and then kind of shorten the list down, or are you just going to meet someone and say, "Oh, I'll give you a chance," kind of thing?
Yeah, so we'd normally just talk to people, get
Okay.
CVs in, arrange to interview them, like literally just have a very quick chat, have a look down through it. If there's references, we will ring references just to check. But generally, we would just do a trial day, and you'll know pretty quick normally within the first half hour, an hour, you kind of know if you've got something you can work with or not.
Yeah.
Like if someone's like the biggest problem with customer service or retail with younger generation is a lot of them don't. This sounds so boomerish or something, but they don't project their voice.
Okay.
They kind of mumble, and they're very 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 almost very very shy when customers come in.
Yeah.
Whereas you have to teach them that like you need to have a bit of banter with the customer, a bit of back and forth, like ask them like how's your day going or the weather's lovely, whatever it is. But a lot of them, we do find that a lot of them are really, really quiet, like really, really
Okay.
shy. Like as I say, I'm painfully shy, but I can turn that switch to like have a conversation with you the same way I would with a customer.
Okay.
And that is what we have found to be the biggest issue, funnily enough.
It's funny. Yeah. What about like, I know like the guys that work in the building sites and those apprenticeships, like a lot of the problems with like the younger guys coming into the apprenticeships is playing on the phone, constantly on the phone. Is you probably can't be on the phone when you're in in front of the shop. Like,
Yeah.
do you have a rule like you have to put your phone in the
Yeah,
in the
we
locker,
just
or-
simple, just no phones. Just simple as that. Because like I know myself, I would be so much more productive if I didn't have a phone. I'm a nightmare for it.
Yeah.
But I think it's just set the boundaries the very first day, and simple as that. If you can do that,
Okay.
then that's half the battle won. Like we had a fella once, he started on his first day and I think he was 5 or 10 minutes late, and you just straight away you just say it. I was like, you have to be here on time, and ever since then he was never late once, he was early.
Right.
But it's just about setting boundaries. Like
very start.
we'll work with you. Like obviously if something happens or
Yeah.
everybody's had it where they sleep in, but it's just if it's becoming a habit, it's a different thing.
Yeah.
But phones would be a big thing. You just say to them, no phones in work, and
Okay.
it's simple as that.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
And what's the first thing then you're gonna have them doing on that day trial? Like, is it like sweeping the floors? I know you see sanding like a wood block, or
Yeah, that'd be the last job of the day, scrubbing down the block. They'd definitely be doing that. Yeah, but it'd be a mixture. Like normally on the first day, for someone who's no experience, we'll start with simple things like making burgers. Like we make our burgers every day because there's no preservatives or anything in the like our Wagyu burgers. So like that'll be a big thing.
Right.
We do a lot of value added products as well, like sauced chicken breasts and that. So simple things like that, but you can kind of see how they work and how they take direction and whether they're neat and tidy, or also just how they take direction, because some people their head can kind of go down if you tell them something. They think you're giving out to them,
Yeah.
whereas I always say like my saying is I love you making mistakes. Like mistakes is how you learn. They say, but if you keep doing the same thing 3, 4, 5 times after I've showed you,
It's not a mistake.
then it's not a mistake. Then that's an action you're making, and then they'll get on you. But make as many mistakes as you like. At least mistakes show me you're trying.
Yeah.
You're willing to learn. There's nothing worse than someone who just kind of just goes into their shell and isn't willing to try.
Yeah, it's a what you call it? It's positive criticism more so than.
Oh, that was my father saying constructive
yeah,
criticism.
there you go. Constructive.
He said that a lot.
But yeah, some people take it differently, and you have to kind of tailor your approach to different.
Yeah, you have to just learn people's personalities.
because you could ruin someone if you kind of.
Yeah, it's 100% like it's, and that's why I hate seeing. I hate those videos of like chefs shouting at people and
I could never.
or like what I always say, the moment if you're giving out to someone, the moment you start shouting and basically insulting them, calling them thick, all that kind of thing, immediately their brain switches off from, okay, I should do it this way. And all they're thinking is, this guy's a prick.
Yeah.
Like, he's just you literally, I've done it myself, I've been in the position, and you're not thinking about how you should change or that I won't do this again. You're just thinking, why am I working for this fella?
Yeah.
So, like, it would take an awful lot for me to lose my cool. Right. And if I did, I would never start insulting someone. And again, you learn how people, like, for instance, Alex, who's with us doing the apprenticeship, Alex needs structure. He loves structure. He loves to have a to-do list for the day.
Okay, it's fair enough.
And then he'll attack it like we've checklists throughout the day. So like we have a morning checklist. Whoever's there, whether it's myself, whether it's Alex, whether it's Martin, you tick off the jobs that have to be done first thing in the morning. And then at the end of the day, you have your cleaning list, same kind of thing. Alex thrives on that.
Right.
But again, it's just learning how each person works.
And so they're in the first aid, they're doing that then. They're with you 6 months before you kind of register them for college, right? How does the college thing work, right? Because it's probably different to when you kind of done your apprenticeship.
Yeah, so basically, like Alex started his formal apprenticeship, I think it was in March of this year.
Okay.
And is set out over 2 years. They give you a full schedule, like, so the 12 months ahead, he knows exactly the dates he's going to be there. And then they have it broken down into different modules. So first one is just the induction. And then, funnily enough, the very first thing they do is learn to use the computer, learn to use like Excel and that type of thing, because that's just a part of butchery. Now, in fairness, I will say for the apprenticeship program, they don't just focus on teaching you how to butcher.
Right.
They're teaching you how like a shop runs and a business runs, which I think is very good. But to be all different modules, so he was actually only there this week doing health and safety.
Right.
And then he moves on to food hygiene, and then there's different ones like cutting, customer service, value adding, all these different modules.
Okay.
And then there's kind of exams attached to them. I think it works out, I'm pretty sure I worked it out over 12 months. Over a 12-month period, it works out at about 42 days are spent up in the college.
Okay.
And then the rest is on-the-job training.
Right. Where's the college based?
It is up around the Ashtown roundabout.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Not too far.
So it's not too bad for him. He gets, his uncle actually works up in Rathcoole. So he drops him at the Lewis there, and then he gets the Lewis out, as far as I know. So it's actually easy enough for him.
And is there like, is there a cost to the employer to put someone through that course?
There isn't so much as you pay them for the days that they're up there, the same as if they were in work as such. So like he was there 2 days this week, but he still gets his full week's wages.
Yeah. Is it apprenticeship rates, or is it like just a minimum wage kind of thing?
It varies, to be honest. Like generally the first year would be apprentice wage, so it'd be slightly less. I think it's like minimum wage is $13.50, but it's about €12 an hour for the first year.
For apprentice rates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it kind of bumps up then it's also kind of an incentive to learn as well, because the more you progress, the quicker you move up the pay scales as well.
Yeah.
And then for qualified lads, I think the going rate at the moment is around about 17, €18 an hour.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
That's decent. And so once you get through the college side of it, then is there like a butchery, or like they're bringing different animals into the college then as well, and they're actually
there is the practical,
there's practical exams.
Yeah, practical knife cutting skills, and then they're expected to kind of go back and say, like, okay, I have to practice this to be able to do it. Like he came back from his health and safety this morning, and he's like, I need to make a list of 10 risks around the shop. And I was like, I'll give you one, pissing me off. So we're giving him an awful hard time at the moment. Yeah. Every time he goes to bend, picks him up. We're like, no, not lift with your knees. So he's a bit to kill us. Right. But yeah, it would be practical, and then they go back, do the on-the-job training. Right. And then it's up to us.
Yeah, do you have a workbook then as well for him that you're like kind of checking off?
Yeah, exactly. As far as I know, that's kind of, and then we kind of work with him which is brilliant really to have that structure, because what really made us want to go the formal apprenticeship route was because we found we were so busy that a lot of the time, not being bad, we were kind of forgetting about his progression.
Yeah.
Because we were like, okay, we want to train you as a butcher, but like we need burgers and we need koftas and we need to fill these 12 orders for online orders today.
Yeah.
And but this makes us say, well, look, he has to have this done by then. So we have to take the time out of our day to teach him how to do this.
Okay.
So I think the structure of it, like one thing I've learned is I wouldn't hesitate the moment I knew someone was staying around to sign him up for it. It's very, very beneficial.
Okay, that's good. And it help your business as well. If
Yeah.
they're not just
Oh,
learning
100%.
just about the meat and stuff like that, and they're
Yeah.
how you could probably put them into a manager role, and then
Exactly
he's the guy.
Yeah,
that's
they're
gonna run
they're
your
being
second
taught
shop.
about margins and things and just makes them think a bit more then about like waste or productivity or value adding, because value adding is a massive thing in butchery now. Like you can't really just get in beef, pork, chicken, and lamb and chop it up and that's it. Plain as it is, you wouldn't survive.
This is like adding like the sauce to the meats.
Yeah,
and stuff
or
like that.
creating new products and just a bit of variety, ready to cook stuff, all that. Like the guys I trained under, they took over the shop from their father. Father founded the shop in 1958. They took over, if I'm right, in 1995. And like when they took over, there was no chicken fillets, there was no bone, everything was on the bone. That's the way it was. At Christmas time, like the turkeys come in whole, you gutted them. There's no bone rolled turkey, any of that. It's only since the turn of the century all that has changed.
Right.
So it's just you've got to be willing to move with the times, or else you just get left behind.
Yeah. How long? Silly question, right? But how long does it take to bone roll a turkey? Like, can you do it while someone's standing in the shop, or do you have to pre-order it and then come in and collect the kind of thing, or do you have some ready?
Time wise, you can do it when someone's there, but at Christmas time, it would all have to be pre-ordered just because.
It's out the door.
Yeah, like you could be doing 600-700 orders of various different things: hams, turkeys, whole turkeys, geese, bone rolled turkeys. But yeah, it takes a few minutes to do, so you want to have it pre-ordered.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And then you're TikTok famous now, right?
Yeah.
What kind of like inspired you to kind of start going onto TikTok and kind of promoting your business?
Believe it or not, it was a friend / customer of mine, Lindsay Farrelly is her name, and she had her own business doing like beauty treatments and that, and she was very big on kind of the social media thing and doing makeup tutorials, if I remember rightly. And just one day she said, like, you need to make more videos. That's what you need to do.
Yeah.
And that just kind of stuck in my head, and I made a few, I think it was like Instagram or something, stories, and she would kind of give me pointers. And then someone I was seeing, like, obviously in like group chats and that, a lot of people sending videos and they'd have the little TikTok symbol on them.
Okay.
And I was like, well, that's all videos, so I can try doing that, and then that'll kind of give me the videos for everything else. And one thing that TikTok has changed, and I don't know why they did it, is so annoying. You used to be able to automatically, when you posted it, it would bring you to Instagram to post it as a story automatically. And then, of course, Instagram you can set up to automatically share to Facebook. Whereas now I have to go out of TikTok, go into Instagram. It's a silly little thing.
Yeah.
But it was so much easier. But I did that, and then it just resonated with people. People were asking me questions. It takes a while to get used to looking at yourself and being self-conscious about yourself. But people would ask me questions, or people would pick fights with me, to be honest.
A few haters in the comments.
Yeah, and if there's one thing I can say for myself is I'm relatively quick-witted, so if someone does say something stupid, I generally am able to think up a comeback, and then that kind of became a thing, as just kind of that butcher's humor, like the same way we would talk at
to the customer.
the talk at the block to the lads. Like, some butchers are, I suppose I hear a lot of it as well about building sites as well. Like, they're some of the funniest people that you'll ever work with. Like, some of the things they'd come out with.
Fucking some of us are comedians.
Yeah, exactly. So I just kind of brought that over, and then I think humor has become a big part. Plain talking and humor has become a big part of the whole TikTok thing.
But shows like you're authentic though as well.
Yeah.
Did it like, did you just make some videos first of all, like just kind of video in the shop before you kind of made the plunge to kind of put yourself out there?
Yeah, I think the very first video I ever made was literally it was just a rump of beef hanging in the fridge, swinging on the hook.
Okay.
It was like a 5 second video with a little bit of music behind it,
Right.
and then from there, it kind of
Did it do well like straight away, and that kind of encouraged you to kind of keep going, like, cause
that one did a bit. Funnily enough, I think the first video I think that did reasonably well was someone had put a video up, and I can't remember exactly how they phrased it, but they were looking for other people's stories of like their experience with something. And I happened to say that like I did so bad in my leaving cert that like it's basically worthless because I don't have maths, I don't have any foreign languages, I just have Irish and English, blah blah, and that kind of took off. And then that kind of made me think. So, and then I had a few little ones like making burgers and things. It was always things I never would have thought would be interesting, but that people found interesting. Day to day, mundane things for us, but people found them oddly satisfying to watch.
yeah.
And then I took a video of Martin scrubbing the block, and that was our first video to get more than 1 million views.
Right.
And then that kind of was like, okay, there's something here.
Definitely do.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like it's good as well. Some people think their meat comes from a packet off the shelf in the supermarket, right? And so it's good to show like the backs, and you give such an insight into like the actual back end of like
Yeah.
the butchers, like what's actually involved. It's good. I'd be fascinated watching the videos.
Yeah, but I find myself like you kind of have to remind yourself it might be mundane or everyday to you, but that can be interesting to other people. Like there's a farmer, I think he's in Canada, Canada or in America, and his family farms potatoes, and he does kind of videos of just day to day that, and I must have watched them all now at this stage, but like it's just such day to day mundane stuff, but it just people find that interesting.
Yeah, it resonates. But
Yeah.
are you across other platforms then as well, like YouTube, or do you do like longer form content, or is it just kind of the 3 minute kind of stuff? Or?
We are obviously we're on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah.
Generally, with Instagram, it's more just sharing the TikTok videos.
Right.
YouTube we are on, but I've struggled to be as consistent as I could be, which is another reason I want to take somebody else on, is to kind of free me up to do those things, because at the moment it feels weird to be like, I have to stop what I'm doing and make a TikTok video, because it is such an important thing to the business.
Yeah, yeah.
And it feels so stupid when you're busy to be like, I have to stop and make this video. But you just can't underestimate the value of it.
Yeah. Does it naturally happen for you throughout the day, right? Or do you like have a set time that you like make that video every day, or it doesn't pass a certain hour before you're like, oh, I need to make a video before 6 o'clock this evening or something?
No, it just generally naturally happens. Something might pop into my head, and that'll just be kind of like, okay, I have to do that. I would say with TikTok, a big thing, like there's all different theories of what you should do, but from what I found, consistency is a big thing. Posting.
Yeah.
Like there last week, I got a problem with my throat where I couldn't talk. Like when I met you, I had mouthwash in my mouth. I was like, I have to spit this out when I was paying for my parking today. But so what I had to do was I was like, look, I can't leave nothing. So I had to go back through old videos and download them and just put out some content for like ones from maybe 2 or 3 years ago that a lot of people had never seen. But I find if you take your foot off the gas at all, it can really hamper your growth.
Okay. And has it been like has it contributed to the bottom line of the business?
Oh, transformational.
Okay.
Transformational. Yeah. Absolutely crazy. Like, and the funny thing is, like, I would say 95% of the online store is driven by TikTok.
Right, brilliant.
Yeah, and a lot of time in the little comment box, you'll be like, it'll mention TikTok, just want to support you or love the channel, that type of thing. But yeah, that's why I have to hire someone else as well, because it's getting to the stage now where the online shop is almost like having a second shop in itself.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
But yeah, like I can't tell you, if I put something up on TikTok, you will see the sales funnel into. Like our website is Squarespace, so it's Squarespace app.
Right.
You can see
See the
you will
The
definitely
analytics,
see like it's worth. I worked it out last year. I generally do it once a year and kind of let people know. Again, just that kind of transparency. I think last year I reckoned between online sales and people coming to the shop and saying I'm here because of that, I'd say it was probably worth last 12 months about 100 grand, maybe 120 even.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, like
That's
we people
pretty
travel. The furthest I've had someone travel just to visit our shop was from Galway.
Whoa.
And I was like, you should have rang ahead because imagine if you came and like
Yeah,
it was
you
my
wouldn't
one day off a week.
Yeah. You would have had to come back around to
Yeah,
the shop.
it's like, but I get that, and same like we people who will literally order. One thing I'd noticed difference between the online and the in store, the online sales tend to be bananas
Right.
in terms of volume. Like the biggest online sale we've had is €1,140,
Whoa.
and that's just regular freezer filler stuff.
Jeez. Like, where are you sending this? Is it just like domestic, like around Ireland, or
Yeah.
are you sending stuff to the UK or
No,
anywhere
if
else?
I've people, I often get people wanting me to ship
Yeah.
foreign, but
Probably can't.
logistically, like the boxes that we ship in are rated for 48 hours. So they'll keep things chilled at 48 hours.
Yeah.
But the reason you kind of use them is that delivery window is 24 hours from leaving our place. The DPD, they are the best in the business. Some people say they're a little bit more expensive, but I think it's worth it. If you're shipping a fresh product, I don't think you can beat DPD
Yeah.
because the delivery window and all.
Yeah. There was a short time there I actually worked for DBT.
Yeah.
And like, it was around like Christmas time or whatever, and I quit my job right to start the business. But there would like be meat there like that would just come in like that evening, and you'd be sent out with it like that night to get
Yeah.
get rid of it, or he wouldn't drop that off on your way home.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, no
I
problem.
have to say, like they are proactive, and so like it's within 24 hours. The box is rated for 48 hours, so you know you're definitely covered.
Yeah.
And it just gives that kind of extra assurance that okay, if it has to wait till later in the day to get delivered, it's still perfectly fine. But then if you're going abroad, you're probably going to need to freeze the meat really to give it that kind of. And I think it's just a bit more squirrely now with Brexit and all that. And to be honest, I'm just too busy.
Yeah,
Like
that's,
I never say never, but the more I say never, the more people seem to want things. Like wholesale, everybody wants me to wholesale.
what's your best seller?
I would say outside of the traditional like chicken fillets and mince,
Yeah.
I would say the two best sellers are meatballs or the Wagyu burgers.
Right. Are they specialized products just purely from your place, or?
Yeah, like you won't get them anywhere else. The Wagyu burgers, they've been a big draw for us. And like whether it genuinely doesn't matter if it's snowing outside, they're selling. It's not just a barbecue product.
Right.
And then the meatballs are. I've never seen a place sell as many meatballs in my life. They are nice, but I've never seen. It got to the stage we actually had to get a little machine to portion them out. You
Right.
still have to hand roll them and do everything else, but what it will do is it'll put out like little hockey pucks of the correct weight, because that's the hardest part is
Yeah.
just weighing them. So they would be the
Top seller.
the top sellers, definitely. Yeah.
Class. Any like special requests? I know I was talking earlier, right? But like for a game or crocodile or snake or anything like that.
Yeah, as I was saying to you, like we did used to sell kangaroo, ostrich. They would kind of be like the staple ones.
Yeah.
But then when COVID came, as I was telling you, when Australia went into really strict lockdown, then they stopped exporting that stuff. We used to get it from the game dealer, the same fellow we get the venison and rabbits and all that from.
Okay.
And it stopped during that time, and it never seemed to come back. You will.
Would you have stocked it, like, or would it just been like someone would come into the butcher's and ask for like?
It'd be a
kangaroo
mixture. Sometimes, like, you used to be able to buy like 2 or 3 packets of steaks at a time.
Okay.
So you could have it there, and you'd always get somebody who would try it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's kind of the way it worked.
Right. Okay. Interesting stuff.
Yeah.
I just don't. I couldn't imagine myself. I'm sure it doesn't taste that different. But I couldn't imagine trying it like or knowing like that was a kangaroo. I was eating a kangaroo.
Yeah,
Quite struggle.
it looks very like venison, and it tends to taste very like venison. The kangaroo. Yeah.
Have you tried anything like funky yourself, or no? Have you always played it safe?
I'm generally, I would say I'll try anything. Where I fall down is I won't try anything with the slightest bit of spice. Like if someone makes
Okay.
any dish, I'm an absolute wuss with anything spicy. Trying to think, like I've tried all the game birds, I've tried the kangaroo, I've tried the ostrich. Like they don't taste that weird. They just taste like meat, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're pretty close to it.
Yeah.
Very cool. Anything else, sir?
No, I can really think of off the top of my head.
If anyone wants to find you on TikTok, where can they find you?
So we're Keith Grant Master Butchers across literally everything.
Okay.
And you'll find me on there shouting at someone or showing you different cuts of meat if they want to. Yeah.
Yeah. And then your website then if people want to online order from your shop.
Yeah, so very simple, grantsmasterbutchers.com.
Okay.
Again, if you just Google Keith Grant Butcher or Keith Grant Master Butchers, it always pops up.
Grant. And delivery time is probably 24, 48 hours.
Yeah, so it depends on the weekdays. Depends what you're ordering, really. Like sometimes if you're ordering something like venison or that, with wild products, it can be a bit of a nightmare because you don't always have a steady supply.
Yeah.
But generally what we say is we try to deliver within 2-3 business days at most from the time you place your order.
Okay. So dispatch.
Yeah. At the moment it leaves us, it's with you within 24 hours.
Yeah.
But from you placing the order to it being with you, normally 3 business days at most.
Okay. That's fair enough. And if someone wants to apply to work with you, just give you an email, drop into the shop.
Yep.
What do they have
So
to do?
grantsbutchers@hotmail.com. One thing I have learned from posting the job advert is apparently I'm one of few still rocking the Hotmail. I don't like Gmail. So they can do that. Or if you go to our website, there's like a little contact form there as well. Or just do it old school, pop into us in store and hand us in a CV.
Is the CV important to you, or would you just take someone coming in and asking?
You just, to be honest, CV...
Or LinkedIn profile, maybe, no?
Yeah, CV, I don't place a lot of weight in them for our game. I think it tells you what age they are, where they're from, but like, I always say, look, you know within a few hours of working with someone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair enough. All right, cool. That's a wrap. Thanks
Deadly.
very much. Brilliant.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. A special thanks to Keith for his insights into becoming a butcher. You can follow Keith on TikTok or order from his website. The links will be in the description below. If you liked the episode, if you give it a like and or subscribe, that'd be great. Thank you.